Okay, so today is a new day, so I'm back in the studio working on this track from scratch. So off camera, all I have done is wrote a very quick bass line, which we are probably going to redo or edit, and I will show you how I originally got this bass line. But as you can just see, I've mapped out about a minute arrangement. I won't keep this arranged like this. This is just for me to upload to SoundCloud, so I can listen to it while I was in work and traveling back and forth in my car, just to get an idea of how the track's actually sounding, not as a loop, but as a track. So I'll just play this little drop. So it's definitely got the vibe there that I want. When we tidy up this bass line, add some vocals in and some synths, it is really all going to come together. Okay, so what I'm just going to do now is delete all of this, because I'm just going to work from the session view until we are ready to progress the track into the arrangement. Let's have a look at the bass line. So I grabbed this Walzer plugin, which is by Woodland Studios. Very good plugin for bass. It can be not necessarily complicated, but different to how other plugins work and react when it comes to sound designing. So it's worth getting if it's on a sale. I think I got it for about 35 quid. But don't get too excited by the presets, because they're not identical to what the artist preset is. So if you're looking for Wheat's kind of basses, they're good, but they're not actually what he's using, if that makes sense. So I'll just play the bass by itself to show you what it sounds like. So quite nice, quite clean, subby. It's got a bit of mid-range in there, which is what I wanted. And with the kick, it's got that rolling feel to it, but it's a bit repetitive, it's a bit boring, and there's some really good techniques I use to add interest and variety into a low end. So first things first, because a lot of people say, well, how do you write a bass line? So we're probably going to use this as a reference. We'll develop it into a 2-bar bass line, maybe even a 4, but probably for this style of rolling track with all the percussion going on, I'm probably going to keep it a little 2-bar bass line. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you several ways you can write a bass line. So play the track. If we open a new MIDI clip and then press play on the MIDI clip, you can now see this sort of little cursor going through the bar. Okay, so when you can hear a note, what you do is you just stop the track. So we're going to play. So I can hear a note pretty much straight away, and another note as well. So we need to just bring this down a bit. Stretch them out. And you can see what I'm doing. I'm stopping it every time I can hear another note come in. There. So I'm not too sure which note I want it, but I know I want it to go up. I want it dun 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 dun. So you could get away with one here, just sort of make these glide into one another. So then it's da 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 da. Maybe bring this one down to the F again. And then you can always duplicate this across and make a little 2-bar variation. So let's say you could go something like that. Just very simple. It's best to keep it simple with writing bassline melodies. Sometimes the best bass lines are literally just one note. In fact, I almost prefer that to the first one, maybe. I'm not too sure. We play around with it. We're going to show different techniques what I use, and then we are going to create 2 different styles of bass lines and then see which one we prefer and go from there. That's how I usually produce as well, because the bass line can dictate what sort of style you're going for. You know, if we cut some of the mid-range out of this a bit more, you can give it that more subby, dubbed out feel. Or if you wanted something a bit more techier, we could find a different preset, maybe alter this one, and get a bit more sort of grit and crunch from it. So that's one way to write a bass line. The next is if you have the luxury of having a MIDI keyboard, then let's find the right key. There we go. Then you can just jam out on the MIDI keyboard, record in whatever you create. So something what I would do is just hit record. And just literally jam out something and let it record as long as you want until you feel like you've got something. And then what you can do is you can just shorten it down. So let's say bar 4 to 5, I liked what I was doing. Then I can just do that, Command A, Command U. So now that's quantized like so. I don't know what that sounds like. So that's another way you can write a bass line. If you're struggling to really hear a melody when playing it in, because this is more often than not the way I do things, what I would recommend doing is doing a 1-note bass line, like so. So what we're just doing here is we're creating the pattern. We're maybe not necessarily creating the melody of it going up and down within the scale. But I can see this is where I want my predominant keys to be. And then we can start shifting them around in the scale to create the melody that I want. So there's some really quick and easy ways and ideas of how to write a bass line. So I actually quite liked the first part of the one I created off camera, which was this. But I also quite like this part in the groove of the whole track. So we're going to try and maybe combine these together. So we're going to start with the bass of this one, I think. So I'm just going to hit the scale key up the top here. So this is then putting it in the scale that I'm working in. I chose F minor for this one. Just no reason, that's just personal preference. If you really want to get in detail about music keys and scales, then I recommend Googling it, because different keys within a minor scale can create certain kinds of emotions. But F minor is always a good one to maybe start off with. So I'm going to try and bring down the cut off. Oh, we're in the wrong one. effects we've got going on. God knows why there's a reverb on it. So now we've got it how we wanted, we can delete the one that we weren't changing. It does sound a bit different in the mix though. Just go back to green. In the mix, that green's definitely sounding better. So let's get rid of that. And we're going to duplicate this bass channel maybe a few times, and I'm going to put a different plugin on it. I am going to put Sub Boom Bass, which is one of my go-tos. So we'll do that again. So we're going to call this Knock 1, Knock 2, or something like that will do. Duplicate this one, call this Sub, and I have a preset somewhere from my friend, which is this one here. Okay, so now we've got some different bass variations we can start playing off of. So first one, I think we're going to have a look at this Sub. And what we're going to do, open up the MIDI, Command A, 0, deactivate them all, but then we can see the notes. So why we're doing this is so then we can try and add or place some new notes in or replace some notes. So we're going to hit play. I'm not going to do that one there. Okay, so I'm quite liking how that's sounding. So now what we need to remember is to stop low end clashing, we need to remove these notes from the first bass line. So if we just open the MIDI up on that one, which is that one there, so deactivate him, and that one there, and that one there, I believe. So this one just needs shortening because we had another note come in. So what I'm going to try and do to create some more variation, I'm going to bring it on down, create a little roll. bring the velocity down on that one again. Now, it may sound all a little bit messy at the moment, but trust me, once you've sort of compressed stuff, make sure all the levels and the balancing is okay, and then done some bus processing on like a bass group, it does start to sound more together, and it's just creating more dynamics. So we're going to do something very similar with this one here. We're going to go into sub boom set presets, and I'm going to try and find that's better. So we're going to do the opposite of what we're doing here. So we're going to just spread that all the way out. One, and cut the low end out. So then we just got the transient of this sort of 808 bass. We're going to open up the MIDI again. Turn it off. And then we're just going to play around and see where we can add in some of these like knocks. You can hear it there. It's probably not the right place to have it. So what we can do as well, we can process this. Compression and stuff like that will help, which we will do in the mix down. There we go. So that erosion is just sort of adding to that knock now. Let's try a different sound. Okay, so we just found another little preset and I've moved some notes around. All I've done is just dropped everything down a velocity. So it's a bit in your face at the minute. I want it to be more subtle. So we're going to bring the cut off all the way down. Going to bring all the release all the way down and the sustain in the envelope. Listen to that as just a group. the velocities down. There, it's really subtle in the mix, but it's creating that, or not creating, but it's enhancing that rolling rhythm. So if you listen for that da-da-da-da-da, so what we're going to do is just going to put these in a group. Kick. What I'm going to do as well is I'm going to duplicate the kick that I'm using. We're going to duplicate the length. Oh, no we're not. I'm going to keep it 2 bar. And we're just going to see what it sounds like with a little kick pattern in it. Can't hear it too much in the mix, but it's adding to that low end sort of rhythm and sort of dynamic. It's really playing nicely off those knocks now as well. So if you just it's almost working like a little tom rhythm, but we're using a bass sample to help it sort of gel better within the bass group. So we're going to do something pretty similar again, and I'm going to sit here and find another preset. Okay, so actually what I'm going to do is we're going to put this one on this preset here. Bring them all up. So we need to add some sustain and release to this one. Listen to the whole. And something I like to do as well is, just as like a reference to see if I'm on the right track, is instead of just playing everything as a group because there's a lot going on, is just start adding some of the key elements back in. So we'll add in a clap and just listen to it play. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this one off, I think. I'm going to bring him back over to the sub and turn those off. Let's see what this sounds like. That's too high. Try and down there. Not too sure about this end one, so just bring him down and then turn off this one. Let me just try and with the velocity down. Adding some hats for reference. Okay, so I'm definitely going to keep that one on and turn this one off. But I like what it's doing on those notes. I think I'm just going to keep this one like a sustained. Something we need to do is, apply our swing to all of these, which I believe that is done. Okay, so I'm happy with that for the minute. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be needed and tidying up during the mix down. Maybe even some stuff deleted. But it's always better to have stuff to delete than try and fit stuff in once you have a finished track. That's personal preference, but for yourself, it might be the opposite way around. But for me, I'd rather keep this as it is, arrange a track, and then just go, after a week of listening to it, I go, well, that was a stupid decision, and then just delete it. Okay, so that is how I do my bass lines. So in the next video, we are going to go and have a look at some synths and vocals. Then we can start looking to arrange it. Okay, so that is another episode of the Track from Scratch series all over and done with. I hope you guys got a lot from that one. I know that bass lines are something that a lot of people struggle with, including myself. I even cut out around 20 to 30 minutes of this video of me searching for presets and changing note positions. So please don't think that I can just write a bass line instantly and first time like I did here. Sometimes it takes me hours, so you're not alone. I will see you not on Tuesday because we are going to go through my breakdown of my next release, but I will catch you the following Tuesday for more on the Track from Scratch series. So I'll see you then.